Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Jade, and this is How to App on iOS. And today, we're doing a special event. We're going to talk about the album that was never released. This is a band called
Peppertoe, and the album is called
Bonedraggin.
And for the first time, this is going to be played on the airwaves in public. Hello, welcome to the show. I'm Jade. There's my tag. Don't wear it out. And this is How to App on iOS, and this is a very special event. This is very dear to my heart. So thank you for joining me today. We're going to see how this goes. I'm going to try and remember as much of this from my head as possible and tell you about this amazing album. And it gets better because at the end of today's show, this will officially be released on YouTube for you to go back and listen to again at your leisure. And I know a lot of people will because I just love this album. And it's such a travesty that it never, ever came out. All right, let's say hello to, firstly, of course, Wart Warriors. If you're a Wart Warrior, you pay $1 a month and you get custom emojis in the chat. And we do special shows every now and again for our members, our Wart Warriors. Let's say hello to everybody here in the chat. Thanks, Thomas, for posting that. Boom. SM Borthwick, hello. Lou Reality, there you are. Let's see if I can click. FPC, Adam Burse, Cold Acre, Greg O'Sullivan, hello to you. Hello, Camp G-Me. Anyone else I've missed? No, we haven't missed anyone. So, welcome aboard. Now, Deep Gravity, what's going on? I'm sure some people will filter in as we go on because you won't want to miss this because it's really, really cool. So, where shall we start? Now, as I said, I'm going to try and remember as much of this as I possibly can. It was a very short period in my life, short-lived. Took a fair bit of time to record this album, but then once it was finished, things happened. So the time was, I know where this all began, was in 1998, where two people, Dave and Dylan, Dave McCarthy and Dylan De Graaf, got together. They were two really good friends. They still are really good friends. And they got together. They used to drink beers. They still do drink beers together and jump on acoustics and write and just play together and just jam and drink beer. And the more they did this, they started to formulate a few songs. And as it happened to be, Dylan is an amazing songwriter, just a mind-blowing songwriter. And Dave McCarthy happened to have his own home studio, much like what we all have now, but much more expensive gear. And we're not talking iPads and stuff like that. We're talking rack mounts in a little room, tiny little room, like a quarter of the size of the room I'm in now. So really, really small. Hey, Russ, what's going on? So a really small room, pretty much with, and everything was recorded to DAT. So they started recording these ideas for this album. And as time went on, they decided, before I'd even met them, well, I'd actually met Dave McCarthy. So I'd met him, I'd known him for a while, seen his band play, he'd seen my bands play. So we'd known each other around the traps, around the music scene. And from what I was told, before this album really had a vocalist, Dave actually suggested he wanted me in the band, but knew that I was a bit of a death metal head and didn't think that this was kind of my cup of tea. So it never got around to asking me to be a part of it. Anyway, they started writing material, and Dylan, who's the main songwriter, who's also a great singer, bass player, guitarist, his brother Cameron was invited to be the vocalist. So he was going to handle vocal duties, and he actually did on the album. So on this album, there's 3 singers and 2 backup singers. And so I sing on 5 tracks on this album. And Dylan sings on 2, and his brother Cameron sings on the other 2. So the vocals are spread throughout the album. And I was contacted like a fair way into the project in late 1999 and asked to come into the studio and add some vocals. So I was like, I know Dave, I hadn't met Dylan before, and I had a feeling this was going to be something really good. So I jumped in and we started recording, and over the next few months, we come up with something pretty special. So I'm going to jump in and play the title track of the album to kick off. We're going to break up the story a little bit with tracks. So it's a 9-track album. It was tentatively titled Peppertoe, but there was also another name going around of Majestic Head and Mr. D, if I remember at the time. But the album was always going to be called Bonedraggin. And so this is the first track off the album, and it is called Turn Around. And I'll just cue it up, and I think we're all good. Make sure everything's good. So let's kick back and enjoy the opening track of 9 tracks, Peppetoe Bonedraggin, and this is Turn Around.
Off the bed, died of the brick wall. You made my mind to know there's more instead of what you do. I'm not bone dragging my way through someone's life with a plastic face and hungover expectancies. Ain't that true? You see, never want to seem so frail and close into your shape of me. It's my pain. If a flight's a cry is what you want, turn around, return to bed. Open eyes are not the same. See and change. If you want me, you just have to look inside. Child till dawn, so break the back of someone else. If I can make you smile no more, much to say. Pieces of you make my life, but stubborn pride won't leave me. If we can't solve this silently, what's to say? If you want me, you just have to look inside. And hungover expectancies, ain't that true? If you want me, you just have to look inside.
Boom.
That's what I was looking for. Awesome stuff. So that is the opening track, Turnaround. I love that track so much. It's I think it encapsulates the whole album. It really does encapsulate the whole album. Yeah, I'll give it some applause.
We hope you work.
No,
we
that's
hope
not what I
you
want.
work really hard on your next track.
No,
because
what's going
we're gonna
on?
Fuck it.
Damn, I hit the wrong button. I don't want to hear Russ. Round of applause. So basically, yeah, that song really sums up the album for me because I'll put it this way. Not a lot of people in the music scene here in Melbourne knew that I could actually sing because, a lot of my time in the music scene by this time, I'd sung in my band Despised, which is very much like a punk, thrash, death metal, jazz fusion kind of thing. Like Mr. Bungle, Faith No More, very much all over the place, hard to categorize us. But I was currently working on FMC. I just finished putting together the first FMC album, all of the songs with FMC. I just started work on utensils. I just got my first computer at this stage. So they were taking a risk on kind of getting me in to sing these songs because they knew I could sing, but knew I was a metalhead and didn't know if I would like this particular stuff. And how this started recording was all of the music was done pretty much by the time I got in there. So kind of think of it like these days now here in this YouTube community where everybody shares files and records music over the internet. I never met any of the rest of the band, until the album was finished. The only contact I had was with Dylan, the main songwriter, and Dave, who played guitar and was producing it. And every day, not every day, probably every few days, I would go to Dave's studio and sit in this tiny little room, and sometimes Dylan was there. And, I mean, we were really just getting to know each other as friends. I'd go out for a cigarette. We'd talk about our favourite bands. And then I'd go in and record my takes. And I will be straight up here. There were a lot of vocal takes. Not through my bad performances, but Dave McCarthy's a little bit of a perfectionist. More so than me. More so than anybody I think I've ever met. And I was actually recording single lines at a time and having to go and do them again. So that's why it sounds really pro and really put together well. Plus, there's a lot of compression on the vocals. There is a hell of a lot of compression on all of the vocals on this album. And as I said, I replaced Cameron, who was the original singer, who's the brother of Dylan, the main songwriter. And what song am I going to play next? Let's see. So the band comprised of all these people I didn't know. So Mike was on drums, Darren was on lead guitar, and this Darren was a gun. This dude was like a 19-year-old just wizard on the electric guitar. So amazing. And I hadn't met him, and I got to sing over all these tracks with this guy playing all this fire guitar. And it was really cool to finally meet him after the album was done. And then there was Dave, Dylan, Cameron, the other vocalist, and me on vocals. So what is next? Myself. This is track 2, Myself. And I'm not singing on this. This is not a song that I'm singing on. This is Cameron's vocals. And some people say they think we're all pretty similar, but I hear definite tonal differences between the two of us. And we'll talk about what Cold Acre put in the chat before about sounds like an American singer, because there was an expectation for me to kind of sing in this kind of American tone, because this was a Southern rock album that we were going to market to the US big time. That was what I thought the idea was. And that's the vocal style I was asked to sing. Yeah. So not a style choice by me in any way, shape or form. And I just followed orders as you do. Hello, Dan Eckberg. And I think I saw Joe Glenn. Anyone else I may have missed? So this is Myself. And I do believe This is with vocalist Cameron from My Memory. Yeah? Let's have a listen to it, and we'll see you back here shortly. Myself.
Your window seems so bright tonight, a star against the streetlight. I'll wait, I'm waiting if you'll come out and see me. I am alone out here, it's getting cold and I'm real sober, but I've no use for beauty and you have no use for me. Well, you took that time, I know that you want it, and I know sometimes you just can't plan things. In loneliness I shelter you, while your security hides you, leaves me by myself. I'm sick and I'm tired of living all by myself. I'm sick and by myself. The mirror's cracked and I'm living all by myself. A shadow caught my eye, I turned to see you seated there. Champion ruby and espresso mixing in the air. I met your eyes and smiled, you flinched and turned away from me. How do you think that makes me feel? How do you think I feel? By myself. I'm sick and I'm tired of living all by myself. I'm sick and by myself. The mirror's cracked and I'm living all by myself. Well, we had dragged this out, so all I'm saying is I know your silence has true feelings. Well, I'm silent now, and I still feel it. I'm in the kitchen drinking coffee by myself. By myself. I'm sick and I'm tired of living all by myself. I'm sick and by myself. The mirror's cracked and I'm living all by myself. I'm gonna take this on 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 by
Myself. So the vocals on this by Cameron. So clearly I can hear the difference between him and me, and the vocals seem like they seem more lower in the mix, where I think a lot of time was spent on my vocals for the 5 songs that I'm on. They're really up front and in your face. So I replaced Cameron as the vocalist, but we kept his vocals on here to give the album a bit of diversity. So it had this vibe of different vocalists. something, an extra bit of flavour. And you'll hear later on, Dylan, his brother, sings on 2 songs as well, and their voices are very similar, very, very similar. So, yeah, look, I just love this album so much. Hi, Barry Glenn. Who have I missed? Robbie Stingle, hello to you. If I can click on your name somewhere there. Mr. Smith, what's going on? Who else have I seen arrive? Falcon Blueser, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Many Vibes, what's going on? I'm sure I saw some other people. Scapula, g'day. Anyone else who I've missed? Audible, hello. Good stuff. So, recording this album. I can't remember how many months. I think we started around May in 1999 doing this, and it went on for probably a good 5 or 6 months. It feels like it was about that kind of time of me traveling all the way out to Dave's studio every couple of days, few days, to record more vocals. And part of my payment for this was that not only was I going to be on a really cool album doing vocals, but Dave, the engineer, had promised he would record for me my first FMC album. So yes, the debut FMC album, Sadomasochistic Wankcore, was recorded in the same studio as this, only a couple of short months after this was finished. And also he recorded my Utensils album as well. So basically I took my PlayStation into his studio with all the drums that were programmed on the PlayStation. And then I played guitar and bass and vocals, and I performed everything over these drums for FMC that were recorded all in the PlayStation. So that was the first FMC album. So I got 2 albums out of this for myself, which, as you know, if you followed me, FMC still exists. And the first FMC album came from my work on this particular album. What else do I have to cover here? I think we'll just go in and play the next song, yeah? Let's just play the next song. As I said earlier, I hadn't met any of the rest of the band for this, so I was just singing in a room. Yes, Adam Burst, it was Music 2000. And when we did live gigs, we'd be on stage with a PlayStation and a TV and a controller, controlling the drums, and the rest of the band playing to a PlayStation. They were the early days of FMC. We were the only band in Australia playing live with a PlayStation as our drummer. Innovative, yeah? Always try and be innovative. So, the next track on here, I'm singing again. And you'll clearly hear the difference in this because the compression on these vocals is so wonderful. And he did a really great job of making my voice pop. So this song is called Myself. And let's just play it and have a good time and enjoy it. I really do love this album. Okay, so, no, that was Myself. We're up to, what are we up to now? I don't know. What are we up to now? We're up to Fashion Lately. So this is me singing, but, yeah. It's called Fashion Lately. Get it right, Jade. What are you doing? All right, let's do it.
Dawn since I can't remember when we shared a moment caught by surprise. The cloud has left and now reveal in disguise. sing. Champagne and a stolen melody don't make you king. 'Cause there ain't no getting through to you. How many times you might breathe. Somehow it's eluding you. Never know what it's like to be free. 'Cause there ain't no getting through to you. How many times you might breathe. Somehow it's eluding you. Never know what it's like to be free. Ain't no getting through to you.
Boom! Fashion lately. Man, the leads in that song are so good. And you can probably tell. So there's a question here. Let me go back here. So what makes an American singing different from Aussie? I think there's a lot of emphasis more on the R's. Well, there ain't no getting through to you. There's a real kind of that southern thing that was going on at the time. And you could probably hear in that song too, my voice, my real voice, break out of that when I got higher. No matter how many times you might, there was a lot of me coming out in the higher bits or in the lower bits, fashion lately, the jewel way you're singing. There's this kind of real twang. You're kind of curling your tongue up. It's a style choice that was chosen for this particular album. It's interesting because when we did start jamming after the album was done, I really dropped a lot of that and sung more in my own voice. Maybe that's the reason we didn't continue. Who knows? The real reason is baffling. Nobody really knows. More comments here on Music 2000. Yes, Music 2000 was a music creation tool on PlayStation, but in different countries it had different names. I think in the UK and Australia it was called Music 2000, but in the US it was called MTV Music, but it's the same program. And it was way before its time on PlayStation to be able to make music with a PlayStation controller, way before its time, but it was incredibly cool. And me being the person into tech that I am, as soon as I saw it and got hold of it, I was like, I have to make music with this. You know, it's the same thing as when the iPad came out. I have to make music with this. These new technologies really always fascinate me and make me want to use it to make interesting music. So, welcome Felcro. Welcome to the show. So we are playing today the album that was never officially released back in 1999 that I was a part of. I prefer vocals without the curled R's in it as well. So, but you're going to get to hear what that sounds like, and I'll tell you more about that very soon. So we're up to track 4 here, and by this time, I'll be honest, when I was in the studio, speaking of recording vocals, Dave McCarthy, who's the engineer, he was very particular on what he wanted each line to be like, where it had to hit on each section of the actual beat. So we did so many takes, and I remember a time in the studio, he was sitting in front of me with his back to me. I was standing behind him with a mic and pop filter and headphones. And every time I did a line, he'd stop and go, nah, do it again. Nah, do it again. Nah, do it again. And I remember a couple of times being behind him and he couldn't see me going, ooh, because we did so many takes and there were so many, in my opinion, that were absolutely fine. But he was such a stickler for getting everything absolutely on. It wasn't the vocals, the melody or what I was singing that was out. It was making sure the pronunciation and the timing was absolutely spot on. And when I look back now, you know, at the time I was livid, but once it was finished, listening to it was like, wow, man, everything's right on the money. This is a pro sounding album for being recorded in a tiny little room the size of 2 toilets. It was ridiculous. So again, we are up to track 4, which is called If Anything. And I'm not singing on this. This is the second song on the album that has vocals from from Cameron De Graaf, the brother of the main songwriter Dylan. So these are his vocals. And again, like what really drew me into this album were the lyrics too. Dylan writes some just great lyrics, things about, cigarettes burning down to the end, remembering the smell of coffee and situations when something was going on, describing the room around you and the feeling and the smells and stuff. I really like that style of songwriting. It's really reflective. So I feel that all the way through this album, except for maybe the second last song. So this is called If Anything, and I'm not on vocals on this one, as I said. This is Cameron on vocals. So we'll bang this out and enjoy. Boom.
Take a pen and a bottle of gin. I feel I've been abandoned. Took some shit too seriously when the hotel bands got too loud. Tried to find a friend in a poison shade. Late night sticky denim, naked smoking heartbeats. If anything it hopes to be, then it's hard to find. If anything was a part of you, then it's lost in me. If anything were lost to death, then it wakes up cold. Then you take that hidden road, your path falls apart. Now I hate your mother's face, I hate the eyes that let you go. If anything it hopes to be, then it's hard to find. If anything was a part of you, then it's lost in me. If anything loves to death, then it wakes up cold. With another's hand, then you take that hidden road, or your past falls apart.
If anything, let me answer Kim's question here. Did you play any instruments? No, I didn't. I just sung vocals on this, all vocals. It's only on 5 songs, as I said. Look, there's something about this album, and I think it's 2 things that really make me love this album so much. It is the acoustic sound. I mean, the acoustic sound on this album is mint. It takes a lot to get an acoustic sound. If you've been around even just our little YouTuber sphere here where people, record acoustics, it's bloody hard to record a good, thick, warm acoustic sound without it getting that boxy sound or without it being really tinny and shitty, So the very warm sound. And the other thing is Darren's lead guitars. For a 19-year-old playing guitar, like, I've heard this album so many times. Whenever I'm down, I put this album on and it just cheers me up big time. Then when it's finished, I remember, fuck, it was never released. Man, what a spew. Because back in 1999, this should have been something for, should have been something that would have taken off really well. I mean, it's produced so beautifully. And you probably heard in there too, the introduction of a couple of other singers in there, some female singers as well, because there were 2 other vocalists who performed on this album. And these particular artists were session musicians who were brought in right at the end of the recording. 2 women, Annette Roche and Susie Ahern, who performed, and I don't know if they still perform, in a band called Adoration on the Gospel Train. And these ladies are on television as well. So these were some killer vocalists, right? They've been on morning television here, doing gospel music. They used to sing at all the big clubs here. I'm guessing they still do. When you got voices like that, I'm sure you'd still be performing these days. So this looks like it's a live album that never was released here, with a whole bunch of tracks, so a lot of gospel stuff on Son of a Preacher Man, the songs that are on here. Oh Happy Day, made by PMI Records, mixed at Sing Sing Studios. And these 2 lovely ladies came in and took a massive price cut to do their performance. They did a 2-hour session, probably a little bit longer than 2 hours because they're friends. And they were paid $500 each just to come in and do a bunch of oohs, ahs. As you hear as the album goes on, some amazing gospel stuff towards the end of some songs. They really killed it. Like, seeing them come into the studio, and I had the privilege of being there and watching them sing over the top of these songs at the end, seeing these pros just come in and nail. No, there were no like second takes. Everything was first take. They were guns. So damn good. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about how good they were. Man, these ladies were fantastic. And they're not overplayed in the album. They're very subtle underneath. And at times in one of the songs, you'll hear them very loudly. They make up the whole end of the song, which has a real Chili Peppers vibe, which I love. All right, so we've talked about the backing singers. Let's jump into the next song. So the next song is where the main songwriter, Dylan, and bass player and guitarist of this album, Dylan De Graaf, his first vocal song. And these next 2 songs, I'm not going to lie, when I found out they were keeping his vocals on this album, I was so sad. I wanted to sing these 2 songs. These are my 2 favorite songs coming up next on the album. I love them. Just going back to the last song we played, there was a line in there that I love too. Late night sticky denim, naked broken heartbeat. Oh man, what a crazy line. A late night sticky denim, naked broken heartbeat. Dude, I love vocals. I love lyrics like that. Beautiful stuff. Really descriptive, but suggestive. But anyway, I'm wanking on. So this song's called McClure. I absolutely fell in love with this song. And when we when we jammed and we're getting these songs ready for live performances, man, I love singing this song so much. But this is Dylan on vocals, not me. And I'm sure you're going to love it too. It's a real walking song. It's such a beautiful walking song. And this is called McClure. Let's do it, shall we? That guitar, man. That guitar just you'll find out more. So I saw a couple of questions about Daz, the guitarist, 19, and amazing. And from what I know, because I wasn't there for the recording of his guitar parts, but if I know Dave really well as a engineer and a person, there are a lot of takes. No matter how good you are, Dave pushes you to your limit, man. And Dylan would agree. Dylan would agree absolutely. Everyone who performed on this would agree. Dave pushes buttons, pushes hard to get a performance. And that's what a good engineer does. I mean, here we are these days with our home studios and we push ourselves, but there's nothing like being in a studio with an engineer who can hear more and just turns around and goes, not again, not again, not again. And I've recorded lots of albums with engineers like that, and it gets damn infuriating, but you've got to trust them and you've got to push. You've got to push really hard to get those performances out. And it's one of the things that I think we lack in home studios because we're so critical of ourselves and our performance, but not having that person there just really driving and going, no, I reckon you could do one more. I reckon you could do one more. And that's the way you get killer albums. That's the way you get amazing albums. So Daz, who played guitar, I saw a question asking what he's doing now. We'll talk about that soon. We'll get into that. Russ says, wouldn't get my cousin into that studio. Damn straight. If I were the mixing engineer guy in the studio, that'd be you. Yeah, I bet that would be you, Omni Collective. I'm sure that would be you. Mr. Smith says, the amount of vocalists that I've made cry in a vocal room. Yeah, it is. I miss that. I really miss that about recording in studios, that pressure to one more to get that, to absolutely get it perfect. And I'll tell you another thing too, which is astonishing. My vocals on this, Dylan's vocals and Cameron's vocals, these aren't double tracked. These are all solo takes, solo one track with just really well mixed compression, well mixed EQ to bring them forward in the mix. These are, there's no double tracking on this. This is a single vocal performance. Oh, I love the tears, Mr. Smith. I love being made to cry in the studio. I love making people cry with music. I believe in tears. God, I spill them enough. So the next song is another song. So we've got, this is track 6, and this is Dylan singing again. And the last 3 tracks are back to me singing. So as I said, there's 5 tracks of me singing, 2 tracks of Cameron, and 2 tracks of Dylan. And again, and I would have killed to sing this song so much. I would have killed to sing this because this is where the backing vocalists really made their money. The end of this song, Killing Tomorrow, is amazing. And this, for some reason, every time I hear this, it's the vocal phrasing that's really tough in the verses. It's a very interesting vocal phrasing. But when it hits that chorus, I know you're going to agree. This chorus is big. This is a fat-ass chorus. And it reminds me of the Chili Peppers. Every time I hear it, it reminds me of Chili Peppers. Not saying it's a rip-off of Chili Peppers, but it just has that big feel from Blood Sugar Sex Magic. That big chorus sound. So here we go. This is Killing Tomorrow with Dylan on vocals. I think Dave's playing acoustic, Dylan on bass, Daz on lead guitar, and Mike on drums. And here we go. Hope you enjoy. I love this song so much.
She's talking shit, leans an eye toward the door. Scene is getting out, now it's in. Well, sometimes she's not sure. Searching for mercy to suddenly flicker a light. Everything's so happy, you just wanna cry. Wearing out old shoes, kicking rocks to a wall. Watching paper blackbirds trigger free, drop them to the floor. Turning around, take the trail of sorrow, and only killing tomorrow by digging up yesterday. You know you gotta forget it, let it slip away. You're only killing tomorrow by digging up yesterday. You know you just gotta let it fade away. Cigarettes are a staircase, stare at the sky. Maybe always another, someone to tell me why. Reaches so close, step back, feeling so hollow. And you've been screwing tomorrow, sleeping with yesterday. You know you gotta forget it, let it slip away. You're only screwing tomorrow, sleeping with yesterday. You're always gonna regret it, let it fade away. You're only killing tomorrow by digging up yesterday. You know you gotta forget it, let it slip away. You're only screwing tomorrow by sleeping with yesterday. You just gotta forget it, let it slip away. You're only screwing tomorrow by sleeping with yesterday. You know you just gotta let it fade away. It's going tomorrow, sleeping with yesterday. You know you gotta forget it, let it slip away. You're only killing tomorrow by digging up yesterday. You know you gotta forget it, let it slip away.
Wow. Killer vocals. Killer vocals. Now, I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it's the two girls who I named. Susie Ahern, Annette Roche. Backing vocals, session musicians who were paid to come in and sing, as I said. What a chorus, man. You're only killing tomorrow, but sleeping with yesterday. You know, when we started jamming once the album was finished, I'd been hanging so long to sing those last two songs, hearing Dylan's vocals on them. I just wanted to sing them so much. So yeah, we finished the album. We were really happy with it. And still, not everybody had met each other because, as I said in the beginning, we all recorded our parts at different times. This was a very small room, so none of us could fit in a room, and we all had different things going on with our lives. All of us only met really Dave and Dylan, and we all came in and did our parts. So once the album was finished, we booked a rehearsal studio, and we all met for the first time, and it was so amazing. Like, you know, probably the first run through of songs, you know, they were good. They weren't anywhere near perfect. But yeah, I think we had two rehearsals, and it was sounding really good. And I was so pumped because I had no intentions of joining a band. I was brought in to record vocals, and that was it. That was all that was discussed. And to see this was going to be something, I was super excited, and to do something commercial as well. And I really believed in these songs. I saw Falcon Blues are right. Any one of these songs could be played on the radio. Absolutely. I totally agree. There's so much on here that should have been. And now people can hear it, because after this show today, I will be dropping this on my channel for people to listen to at their own pace if they would like to. Hello, Jenny. Welcome aboard. And Frank Terzo and JDL. Anyone else I may have missed? Alrighty. So, but unfortunately, getting back to rehearsals, after the second rehearsal, got a phone call and was just told, it ain't happening. Dave, the engineer and part songwriter. So most of the songs, the majority of the music was written by Dylan De Graaf. Dave McCarthy wrote some songs, and Cameron wrote a few vocal parts and stuff. So, but yeah, Dave pulled the plug. And I can speak for myself here. I was heartbroken. I really wanted to do this. I'd got so into it, and I believed this was going to be something. And when you spend 8 months all up recording something that you had no plans to be good, and then you start jamming and think, hey man, this is cool, and then it's gone. It was just heartbreaking. And it still is. And the last few days, 2 nights actually, I've been on the phone with Dylan talking about this, and yeah, we've still remained really close friends, me and Dylan. In fact, we're going to get together, as discussed last night. We're going to write a song. We're going to do a song here in my studio, and he's going to come on the show soon at some stage, and we're going to have him on and talk about his music and talk about this together, because he's an amazing songwriter. So we'll have him on for that. Anyway, we are up to track 7 out of 9, and back to me singing vocals. This is called Witness, and I do believe this song was written by Dave. So I'm just going to play it, and you can enjoy for yourselves. Witness.
Masses on the floor, pencil and page, writing to you, a million people awake. Girl outside, stop screaming at
Yeah. Witness. Interesting. So let me touch on a few things. Yeah, I think you can hear it's me. It's funny. Some of the songs, there's this real Pearl Jammy kind of twang there, kind of thing. But sometimes you can hear me kind of shining through. The acoustic guitars are just, they are beautiful. They are so well recorded, so beautifully recorded. So you are going to get a chance to hear me do these songs. Let's announce this now. This week's opening hour, I have painstakingly removed all the vocals from these tracks because I don't have the masters, but I have gone ahead and removed all the vocals from these tracks. And for this week's opening hour, I will be performing the entire album live. Yeah? So you will hear me sing all of the songs how I think they should sound in my voice, my idea of how they sound. So yeah, I've used Moises to remove all the vocals. And you know what was really cool about this? Moises is an app I've shown here on the channel that, you know, removes guitars and splits drums and stuff. And these things normally sound pretty bad, but because the vocals were so well recorded on this album and so compressed and sit so different in the mix, it's the way they're recorded. When I ran this through Moises, it separated the tracks beautifully. I'm so blown away by how well it's done. So I'll be performing all 9 tracks live on the opening hour this weekend. So hopefully you can join me for that. We are up to the second last song, which I sing on as well. This song's got a bit of a backstory. I'm not going to lie. It's not my favorite song on the album. And that's okay. But interestingly enough, whenever you write music, you create an album and write songs, for some reason, the song that you don't like the most always becomes the song that people love. Always. Yeah? And a lot of people really, really love this song. And for some reason, it to me, it feels like the song that stands out like a bit of a sore thumb. I don't know why it is. So it was written by Dave McCarthy. And when we were recording it, he had written vocal melodies for it. But when I started singing it, they just didn't work. I couldn't make them work. So we kept all the lyrics and the song exactly the way it was. And I rewrote the vocal melodies. And the way it turned out is kind of got this, in a way, Faith No More-ish, kind of more me kind of style. You'll hear it and you can make the decision of what you think is does it stand out on the album? Is it different? I can hear it. It just feels different, but it seems nobody else has this opinion. So at the end of the day, you got to take the people who listen to the music. Their opinion is the right opinion. Your opinion sucks. This is called Fearless. And I'll tell you, I'm just going to be honest. Part of the reason it doesn't float for me is that the song's called Fearless, and it doesn't, when it's sung, it doesn't feel desperate enough to be fearless. And that's maybe my performance. But I didn't really get to change the choruses for this song. The choruses stayed the same. It was the verses that I changed. And to me, there just isn't that desperation of somebody being fearless. Yeah. So we'll play it. You have your opinion. This is Fearless, second last song on the track. Let's do it. On the album. Let's do it.
More forgiving in the light of what
side. I wait for the next sign in my life. I'd like to be fearless in my heart for thee. I'd like to be fearless. I'd like to be fearless. I'd like to be fearless in my heart. Fearless in my heart. I'd like to be fearless in my heart for thee. I'd like to be fearless. I'd like to be fearless. I'd like to be fearless in my heart. Fearless in my I'd like to be fearless. I'd like to be fearless. I'd like to be fearless in my heart. Fearless in my
You know, it's weird. I hear it now and go, wow, man, that was vibing. That was vibing. It's weird how you have memories of stuff. I think what's interesting too is because in the studio it was changed and it was, it didn't have a clear cut picture as what the rest of the songs were. That see, I knew you guys would like it. It's look, I can't take away. It's a fucking great song, and when I say it's not up to the rest of them, I'm putting the rest of them on a really high pedestal here. So it's nowhere near like, not even saying it's bad or anything. It's a great song. It just feels different. I think that's the term. It feels different than the rest of the songs, and again, the chorus is. It's catchy as fuck. The whole album's catchy as fuck. There's something about it. So I'm glad you enjoyed it because that'll make Dave happy. Love you, Dave, if you see this. I'm sure Dylan's laughing as well. All right. So we are at the last song and I'm probably going to cry. So let's talk about Dazza, the guitarist, the 19-year-old guitarist. I only got to meet him a couple of times at rehearsal, because all the parts were recorded separately. And many years later, I was living in Sydney and, life goes on. You go on and do different things. I came out as trans and began my transition and moved to Sydney. I was doing my thing and people go on and do their own thing. And one day I received a message letting me know that something bad had happened. And it was really shit. In 2006, Darren was murdered on a train. At Box Hill Station, doing nothing doing absolutely nothing, sitting on a train. He was 28 years old by this time. And some random fucking idiot jumped on the train and for no reason, without provocation, nothing, stabbed him in the chest with a knife. As you can see here, 28-year-old man who was fatally stabbed on a train near Box Hill was an exceptionally talented musician. And he was a father of an 18-month-year-old son. And everybody who knew him loved him. He was an amazing guitarist. And they caught the piece of shit who did it. Here he is, Corey Acuna, a piece of shit who may rot in a pile of feces forever, sentenced to 22 years jail. 2 years later, sentenced to jail, 22 years. And from what we know, is that he's still there. He tried to get an appeal, and I hope he's still there. A chronic drug dealer who murdered a stranger on a train. An absolute stranger. Not enough, Jenny. Not enough. It was just unprovoked. Human scum took away not only a decent, beautiful human being, but somebody who creates amazing music. And from an early age, you've heard his guitar. The dude talked through his guitar. He didn't need to say anything. Everything he came through that guitar, through his fingers. At 19 years old on this album, he was incredible. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, but why are you so upset? You only met him twice. Well, this last song is me and Daz, pretty much, and an acoustic guitar. And it's just me singing and him noodling over me singing. And it means so much, this song. Every time I hear it, I think about him, even though when we recorded this, he wasn't even in the room. I sung, and then his guitar parts were put over the top, and it's a marriage made in heaven. It was like we were made to feed off each other, even though we weren't in the same room. So this is the last song. This is called Shot Yourself Down. This isn't the end of the stream either. I've got a few more surprises to play for you after this. But today, this show and releasing this on YouTube, this is for Daz. Absolutely for Daz and his dad and family. So let's just play it. This is amazing and the most beautiful closer to an album I've heard. This is Shut Yourself Down.
Yourself down, no one's around, tears fall flat on the table, smileless grace, trapped in this space, trying to look sober and stable, left in the throw, time to let slip away, small and
Boom. Wicked. I love that song so much. And I'm so privileged to have been able to sing on this album. Would have been awesome if it came out. Absolutely. I reckon it would have gone gangbusters. But life doesn't work that way, you know, and it is what it is. And now at least, finally, I get to share this with people. This has been something we've been holding on to for so long, and I'm so happy that I've got the blessing to share this. In fact, while I'm just queuing up the next thing, because I've got a couple more things to play from Peppertoe or Majestic Head. Just let me do this now. So the album is now, within the next few seconds, going to be live on the channel. There it is. It's unlisted. Public. Publish. It is now live on my channel if you want to revisit the album. So, time went by, hey, and we all went off and did different things. I went on to continue with Dread Circus and FMC, Utensils. As I said, I came out and transitioned. People went their own different ways. But then a few years later, an album was released. Well, it wasn't released until actually quite recently. If we have a look here, just bring up the Majestic Head. So here we are on, why can't I find it? Majestic Head. I know it's it's been released. Majestic Head. Dragon. Well, it was here. Majestic Head. That's one word. That's why. There we go. So, skip over here. So, out came this album, Majestic Head. It is available on Spotify and Apple Music. And when you see it's called Bonedraggin. So, it actually has some of the songs on here. If Anything, Myself, McClure, Killing Tomorrow, Witness, but my vocals are not on here. And this was re-recorded and with different drum sounds and percussion instead of drums. It's a very different album. It's great. 2002, so 3 years after the original album, this was re-recorded. And yeah, all my vocals are scrubbed, and there's other songs on here as well. Even if the only two that remained pretty much the same are Killing Tomorrow and McClure. Hey Pete, what's going on? If I have a listen to how different.
I feel I've been abandoned.
Very, very different. The drums are very garage sounding, and it's weird, huh? Like, I'm allowed to have an opinion on it, and I'm going to have an opinion on it. It's like a step backwards to me. As I said, Killing Tomorrow and McClure are exactly the same. Witness. Very, very different. And yeah, It is what it is. Here's myself. This is another song that's completely different.
Your window seems so bright tonight, a star against the streetlight. I'll wait, I'm waiting if you come out and see me. I am alone out here, it's getting cold and I'm real sober, but I've no use for beauty and you.
So it's a lot of percussion in there and stuff. Quite different. But this is available online if you want to get it. There's a link in the description if you want to go and check it out and hear all the rest of the songs as well. But to go out with today, I did some searching on the internet and found some stuff. Because you can't hide on the internet. You can't hide. Absolutely can't hide. And let me go over to my liked videos. And I found this live recording of Majestic Head from 8 years ago. Now, the recording's not live. It's just live footage. Now, I don't know. I can't remember if this is footage of the guys before or after. I'm not really sure because there's a bunch of different people in it, except Dave and Dylan. And so, yeah. But it's using the music from the album. And this is McClure. But it's got a whole bunch of footage. So you get to see the guys at least performing because we never got to perform as Peppertoe. And yeah, I want to thank you all for being here today and coming down memory lane with me on this album that really should have been released. But, you know, shoulda, woulda, coulda. It is what it is. And now at least you can enjoy it. It is on my channel as of now. And please leave a comment if you check it out and let the guys know that you like it, because it's not about me. I'm not playing this to big note myself. I'm playing this album to big note them. Amazing songwriters, and especially Dylan, who's a dear friend still, and he is just an incredible songwriter. And unfortunately, since then, he's recorded a bunch of other things with Dave that haven't come to pass as well. And it sucks, man. It really sucks. So hopefully in the near future, he can come out and record some stuff with me in my studio and all of that. So yeah, thank you very much for joining me today. As I said, for this week's opening hour, I will be performing all of these songs live to the backing track, and you get to hear them all in order, album order, and we'll do that on the weekend. Up next, in about 25 minutes' time, is Pete Johns with his brand new, is it called Studio Live Today podcast? Something like that. His podcast is kicking off today. All right, so this is Majestic Head playing McClure. And I'll see you around. Remember, do the things that make you happy. Mistakes make you better. And we'll all rise together.
flashes have gone by. Jittering fools, madness trapped in a soul. Crazier than time. Run all there is to run, boy. Bone dragging through your mind. But I don't know what you're gonna do now. Live on the track and kiss a night goodbye. See you later, Jack. I think I got the last Mexican night. Sooner or later, you're stepping into that all-night ride. Live on the track and kiss a night goodbye. See you later, Jack. I think I caught my last Mexican night. Sooner or later, you're slipping into that all-night ride. Finding that all-night ride. To live on the track and kiss a night goodbye. See you later, Jack. I think I caught my last Mexican night. Sooner or later, you're slipping into that all-night ride. Finding that all-night We'll all rise together, 'cause you make me shine better. And we'll all rise together. You make me shine better. When the night